Throughout the ages, the relationship between the human soul and the environment was a way of thinking about time and space and seeing our place in it. Sharing a common philosophy, master builders saw their humanity as a part of the natural world. In their buildings, they used the images of geometry, the very ones found in nature, as their guides. Their patterns and proportions transcended time and space, implying sacred connections. In America these days, anything goes. The ideas of moderation or proportion are non-existent. The size of everything has increased, from restaurant portions to our debts. As we consume everything in our path, a McMansionized urban sprawl fills the landscape, pushing nature beyond her sustainability. Interestingly enough, at the same time, our explorations of spiritual and environmental matters are increasing. The lost language of architecture uses the same tools as the master builders and helps us rediscover how to see things as an interconnected, interdependent web of life. The concept of home immediately resonates with everyone. It means comfort, security, and connection to those we love. What is it that makes some buildings feel like home? The difference is that some homes utilize certain patterns, visual images that occur in a variety of ways throughout nature, and which, when used in the spaces we occupy, give us a feeling of warmth and connection. I began designing this neoclassic home looking for the guiding principles of beauty. I found that organic shapes and patterns resonate with the human heart. These same patterns occur in sacred geometry. This home uses the same proportions that ancient builders used, which were based on the human form. They understood the classical philosophies of unity and harmony, using mathematical techniques for achieving proportion. These same proportions make a house feel like a home. The tools of the master builder saw form as the multi-dimensional representation of geometry in time and space. The Greek philosopher Plato saw the connection between geometric form and nature in the five solids. These solid elements represent fire, air, earth, water, and ether, all which are part of our living human experience. These same forms are found represented throughout all of human existence, in the humble designs of early culture and in the complex designs of the Renaissance. When these elements are combined, they create patterns of harmonic perfection, a pattern of nature herself. Reaching back 1,500 years, Leonardo da Vinci chose to name this famous image the Vitruvian Man, after Vitruvius, the author of the 10 books of architecture. Like Plato, Vitruvius and Leonardo shared knowledge of form based on the philosophies of geometry that saw the human soul in nature. Seeing the science of Leonardo as multidimensional for the first time tells a story which can only be seen, not written. As in the 10 books of architecture, the drawing in the Vitruvian Man needs to be understood in time and space for us to be connected to the past, as well as to the future, making our designs and buildings a part of the interconnection of nature in a positive way for ourselves and our future health. The three-dimensional sphere becomes the palette from which a building with harmonic proportions might be built. These proportions and patterns of the pentagram found in the body itself explain a philosophy of evolution based on natural, scientific geometries, which show an evolution guided from within. The square in form becomes a cube, which represents a philosophy of connection and interdependence through the 4 cardinal directions of earth, air, fire, and water, the same forms Plato used. During Leonardo's lifetime, His greatest science was kept secret. His philosophies, unpopular with his benefactors, are finally seen completely, in form. In direct opposition to the ideological views of some, this philosophical geometry was seen as heresy, as it shows an externalized God to be unnatural. The Vitruvian Man also contains the proportion of the Holy Grail. The Grail, now seen in form, represents a philosophy shared by Leonardo Vitruvius and Plato. The Vitruvian Man's proportion contains the Grail that show an image that represents a philosophy, not a reality. The new Vitruvian woman has been drawn to emphasize the loss of understanding Mother Earth's natural order. The response to these philosophies saw the massacre of millions of innocent free-thinking people over hundreds of years throughout the Inquisition and beyond. Today, the atrocities against Mother Nature reflect the need to understand the scientific geometries of the lost language of architecture. The lost language of architecture uses the images from the past to help redefine how we can visualize our place in nature and make sustainability possible. As man holds his own survival in his hands, the images of geometry add new understanding of our dynamic relationship with the environment. Some have said the most devastating moment in scientific and philosophical thought occurred when modern science began using zero, replacing the symbolic geometric sphere, eliminating our visual language of nature. The philosophies around zero, the only ones we use today, force our thinking in a lineal direction only, forwards and backwards, making the impact of our consumption unrecognizable to some of us. Before the 20th century, consumerism was in balance, having little impact on the environment. Today, because of our environmental catastrophe fueled by consumerism, there's no time to ignore the lost language of architecture and the meaning behind the symbol known as zero. In the beginning, there was heaven and earth. Ancient philosophies shared by Plato, Leonardo, and Vitruvius saw the human soul in form, bisected by the heavens and the earth. Man is the measure of all things, and these forms are comprised of our own elements, shared by the world soul. The image of the world soul has the same patterns as all nature and shows beyond a doubt the ever-expanding and contracting energy of the natural world in life, death, and rebirth. These patterns, as in nature, are non-lineal. The philosophical tools that give us a place in space and time are seen as the anima mundi, the world soul. The great language of geometry offers us a solution in the way we see our place in time and space, forcing us to adopt a philosophy of sustainability. The complex pattern of the E8 is a recent mathematical representation which took 4 years and 18 mathematicians to create. It is our modern math's attempt to understand the physical laws of nature. If these same mathematicians had been taught the lost language of architecture, they would have seen the exact images the E8 presents, the same the master builders have used in their designs for thousands of years. The master Renaissance builder Palladio also reached back 1,500 years, as Leonardo had, to his mentor Vitruvius. Palladio's influences are seen in our federal buildings in Washington, D.C., and in Jefferson's favorite personal home, the Poplar House. Jefferson used these words in the introduction to the Declaration of Independence. The laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. Vitruvian in philosophy, the same shared by Leonardo and Plato. Looking for beauty, I was originally attracted to the design of this home, Palladian in influence because of its simple, elegant energy. I had not known it had originally been drawn by Thomas Jefferson until years later. Building this home taught me, through its proportions and beauty, what it feels like when sacred geometries have been used. Some say we have missed our chance, and the world we have known is slipping away, forever threatening our very existence. However, as our own consumption is the cause, our home, our own personal sacred space, remains a place where we can have a direct impact on the possible outcome. We must have the strength to move the ideological and political philosophies towards the true laws of nature, regaining the balance of sustainability.